paglilingkod sa bansa.
This is the Philippines.
And we are ANC. Robes on this afternoon, the Philippine Senate is expected to officially convene as an impeachment court to try Vice President Sara Duterte.
Now, the upper chamber officially received the articles of impeachment of the impeachment from the lower house of representatives on May 13th. That's last Wednesday.
The articles of impeachment accusing VP Duterte of alleged culpable violation of the 1987 Constitution, graft and corruption, betrayal of public trust, bribery, and other high crimes. I'm Michelle Long.
This is a historic moment happening right now amid talks of another leadership shakeup in the chamber. I'm Stanley Palisada. This is ABS-CBN special coverage.
Another pivotal day in Philippine history as the Senate is set to convene as an impeachment court. Members of the upper chamber will take their oath as judges. 16 votes out of the 24-member chamber are needed to remove Vice President Sara Duterte from her post and bar her from public office for life. On the eve of the convening of the impeachment court, House prosecutors urged the Senate, now dominated by Duterte allies, to be impartial in the process.
We certainly hope that they will do their job impartially kasi yun naman talaga ang nakalagay. Even sa rules nila, they are being asked to exhibit political neutrality. That while sitting as senator judges, they should exercise political neutrality. In other words, nakafocus lang sila kung ano yung katotohanan, nakafocus lang sila sa pag-examine, pag-scrutinize sa ebidensya at pag-render ng tamang pasya, ng tamang judgment, irrespective of their political inclinations, irrespective of their political beliefs, irrespective of their political affiliation.
Tiyak po ako, irrespective of who the Senate leadership is, we will be able to convince the senator judges to convict the Vice President.
The Marcos administration is distancing itself from the Senate as lawmakers prepare to open impeachment proceedings against Vice President Sara Duterte. Now, Malacanang says the president will not interfere, but stresses officials who must be held accountable should face consequences. That's as the recent Senate leadership shakeup adds fresh uncertainty to the process.
Hindi natin mabibigyan ng anumang panghuhusga sa ngayon ang mga magiging senator judges. Nasa kanila po yan. Tandaan lamang po nila na sila ay halal ng bayan. Huwag sila magsilbi, katulad na sinabi natin, na maging daan para sa pagtakas ng dapat na managot.
Senate President Alan Peter Cayetano fighting to stay in power amid rumors of yet another leadership coup in the upper chamber ahead of VP Duterte's impeachment trial. Just moments ago, he acknowledged those speculations, but adds his 13-member majority was still solid heading into the new week. He also fired back at those calling for his resignation as leader of the Senate in the wake of last week's shooting incident.
It's a privilege serving you, serving our people, serving the Senate. But pag sinabi nilang iiba direction, I will respect that. Many of those who are calling for my resignation are political operators. Dati na silang may meaning, nung nasa DFA ako, resign Alan. Nung nasa Speaker's Office ako, resign Alan. Nung minority leader ako, resign Alan. Nag-ano lang ngayon, nag-echo lang ngayon dahil nga sa mga pangyayari. But for me, it's concerted effort from day one to get me out because they want someone they can control.
Former Senate President Coco Pimentel sees no issues with another possible leadership change in the Senate in relation to the looming impeachment trial of Vice President Duterte. Rumors have been swirling of another Senate coup to replace Senate President Alan Peter Cayetano, who took the post last week from Senator Tito Soto with the support of Duterte's allies in the upper chamber. Pimentel says a change in the Senate's leadership, even in the middle of Duterte's trial, will have no impact on the process.
Ang sabi ng rules natin and even the Constitution, the Senate President presides over impeachment cases except when it is the President of the Republic of the Philippines who has been impeached. So yun, so sundin lang po yun. So sa position tayo nakatingin, whoever is the holder of that position. No problem kahit naumpisa na yung trial, kahit nag-convene sa umaga, nag-lunch break, by lunchtime, may new decision na new SP. Pag convene sa hapon, iba na ang mag-preside. No problem.
In other news, the legal team of Senator Ronald Dela Rosa vowing to refute the state's arguments against his arrest by virtue of an order by the International Criminal Court. Dela Rosa's lawyer, Jimmy Bondoc, insists his client is not a fugitive from justice, contrary to what Solicitor General Darlene Berberabe said in her comment to Dela Rosa's petition at the Supreme Court. The former police chief is wanted by the ICC for his role in the brutal Duterte drug war. The strongly worded reply of the government's chief lawyer argued the state can enforce the ICC warrant without the need for validation by a local court. Berberabe also warning extending protections for Dela Rosa, who is evading the law, not only deepens the wounds of victims but also sends a chilling message that court protections are strongest for the powerful and weakest for those killed from the drug war.
We do not agree that he is a fugitive. The problem here, and I think most observers have seen this, is the vacillating arguments and the way they conveniently invoke rules when it suits them. And again, I do not blame them. The government has to choose. If they are invoking the domestic law, then our argument goes one way, that there is no surrender mechanism in that law as shown by the deliberations. If they are invoking the Rome Statute, then we will argue that, first of all, jurisdiction issue, and then number two, that they did not go through the rigors of Article 59, which is submitting to competent judicial authority.
Bondoc also defending Dela Rosa's move to flee the Senate premises in the early hours of May 14.
That is the act of self-preservation, because we all know that the president has shown that FPRRD, until now, his unlawful arrest is under question, and yet he is languishing somewhere in a foreign country beyond the reach of our laws. And then, Senator, you have to remember that the circumstances surrounding that day there were very public pronouncements from the government that the NBI were not deployed there, that they will not arrest. And yet there were people there announcing themselves to be NBI. I left around 1:30 or 2 a.m., decided to go home, and maybe our client just decided to go home as well. Now, I know that sounds like a coy answer, but even within the legal premise that we are setting, he had every right to go in and to go out of the Senate because there was no lawful arrest warrant.
We now turn you over to the Senate floor, where senators are set to take up the articles of impeachment against Vice President Sara Duterte.
Panghinirang o kalasag lamang ng makapangyarihan. Tulungan niyo po kaming gawing daan. Gawing daan din ito tungo sa katarungan at katotohanan para sa bawat Pilipino, lalo na sa pinaka madaling apihin at abusuhin. Panginoong Diyos ng kasaysayan, tulungan niyo po kaming sagutin ang hamon ng panahon at unahin ang interes ng bayan at hindi ng sarili. Tulungan niyo po kaming bigyang bigat ang hatol ng kasaysayan at hindi ng politika. Salamat sa maraming pagkakataon niyo ng pagsagip sa amin sa tila tiyak na kaguluhan at sakuna. Panginoong Diyos na habag, katarungan at kasaysayan, habang nagaganap ang paglilitis, ingatan niyo ang aming bansa laban sa puot, karahasan at kaguluhan, ang galit po ng taong bayan. Gawin po ninyong matinding paghahangad sa katotohanan, sa katarungan, hindi sa paghihiganti. Magtaas po kayo ng mga pinunong naunawaan na ang tungkulin sa bayan ay sagrado, ng mga pinunong tunay na pastol, naglilingkod, hindi inaabuso ang kapangyarihan. Padaluyan ninyo ang katarungan sa Pilipinas na parang ilog at ang katwiran na parang batis na hindi natutuyo. Sa inyong habag ang paglilitis na ito, gawin niyo pong simula ng pagbabago tungo sa katapatan, pananagutan, paghilom ng aming bayan. Sa inyong banal na pangalan, kami ay nananalangin. Amen.
Thank you, Senator Pangilinan. The Servus Dei Vocal Ensemble will lead us in the singing of the Philippine National Anthem. The group will also render a song entitled Bagani after singing the national anthem.
Bayang magiliw, perna sa silanganan, alam ng puso, sa dibdib mo'y buhay. Lupang hinirang, duyan ka ng magiting, sa manlulupig, di ka pasisigin. Sa dagat at bundok, sa simoy at sa langit mong bagaw, may dilagang tula at awit sa paglayang minamahal. Ang kislap ng watawat mo'y tagumpay na nagniningning, ang bituin at araw niyang kailan pang may di magdidinig. Lupa ng araw na luwal, hatid pagsinta, buhay langit sa piling mo. Aming ligaya na pa, may mga api, ang mamatay nang dahil sa'yo.
Thank you very much, Servus Dei Vocal Ensemble, much appreciated. Good afternoon, dear colleagues. Acting Majority Leader.
Yes, Mr. President, thank you. Mr. President, I move that we dispense with the reading of the journal of the 63rd session, May 13, 2026, and consider... Oh,
I'm sorry, Majority
Wala pa
Leader.
pala.
We'll do
Sorry.
the roll call first.
may we
Yes, my apologies.
move for the rolling of the... Roll call, please, Mr. President. I move to call the roll, Mr. President. Sorry.
There's no objection, we will call the roll.
Roll call of members. Honorable Senator Aquino, Senator Cayetano Pia, Senator Dela Rosa, Senator Ejercito, Senator Escudero, Senator Estrada, Senator Gatchalian, Senator Go, Senator Hontiveros, Senator Lacson, Senator Lapid, Senator Ligarda, Senator Marcoleta, Senator Marcos, Senator Padilla, Senator Pangilinan, Senator Soto, Senator Tulfo Erwin, Senator Tulfo Rafi, Senator Villanueva, Senator Villar Camille, Senator Villar Mark, Senator Subiri. The Senate President is present.
With 23 senators, Senator Bato is absent? Okay, with 23 senators present, the chair declares presence of a quorum.
Thank you, Mr. President. Before we proceed, may I just be allowed to recognize guests from the gallery, guests of Senator Ligarda, Mayor Mar Mission of San Remigio Antique. Mr. President. Mr. President, at this juncture, we would like to, first of all, put on record our sincerest thanks and gratitude for the valuable contribution of our Secretary General of the Senate. And I've seen firsthand his sacrifices and willingness to walk the extra mile just to preserve the dignity of the institution. So we just want to put that on record.
At the right time, I think we should honor him with a resolution.
Yes.
And is he also the first to be a SecGen of both the House and the Senate? And to be fair, he actually resigned right away. I asked him to continue, and actually I'm asking him to continue in a different manner. But dear colleagues, the SecGen Mendoza did a great service to both houses.
We
and I'd
wanted
like
to put on
recognize.
record, the name is Dong Mendoza,
Yes.
former congressman of the great province of Batangas. And with that, Mr. President, and following the relinquishment of the position by our former Secretary of the Senate, I move that we proceed to the election of a new Secretary of the Senate. So move, Mr. President.
Yes. I consulted the Minority Leader, and because the SecGen will also be the Clerk of Court of the impeachment proceeding. So there are no objections. We will proceed.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, in accordance to Rule 2, Section 2 of the Rules of the Senate, may I respectfully nominate Jose Luis Garcia Montales as the new Secretary of the Senate. I so move, Mr. President.
Is there any objection? Hearing none.
Thank you, Mr. President. And there being no other nominations, may I respectfully move that the period of nominations be closed. I so move, Mr. President.
Is there any objection? Hearing none. The motion is approved. Pursuant to the rules of the Senate, there being no other candidate for the position of Senate Secretary, the voting will be viva voce. Those voting for Attorney Montales, please say aye. The ayes have it. Congratulations, Attorney Jose Luis Montales. Those who are against, say nay. Okay. Thank you very much for the ayes have it. And Jose Luis Montales is hereby declared as proclaimed as the Secretary of the Senate, the second to have been both SecGen of the House and the Senate.
Thank you, Mr. President. May I move for a minute suspension to allow our new Senate Secretary to ascend the rostrum and take his oath. So move, Mr. President.
No, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so far, 23 senators are present today at the impeachment trial as the Senate opens that session today. We heard Joel Villanueva acknowledging the work of Secretary General Dong Mendoza, formerly a Batangas representative, as Secretary of Senate, and also an election.
They have nominated and indeed elected a new Secretary of the Senate who will work as the Clerk of Court of the impeachment proceedings. He is no other than Jose Luis Garcia Montales, only the second to have been both SecGen of the House and the Senate. So they're now calling for a 1-minute suspension. Secretary of the Senate, Jose Luis Garcia Montales, now taking his oath of office.
That I will well and faithfully discharge.
That I will well and faithfully discharge,
To the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability,
The duties of my present position.
the duties of my present position,
And of all others I may hereafter.
and of all others I may hereafter
Hold under the Republic of the Philippines.
hold under the Republic of the Philippines.
That I will support and defend the Constitution of the Philippines.
That I will support and defend the Constitution of the Philippines.
That I will obey the laws.
That I will obey the laws,
Legal orders and decrees.
legal orders, and decrees
Promulgated by the duly constituted authorities.
promulgated by the duly constituted authorities,
And maintain true faith and allegiance.
and maintain true faith and allegiance
To the Republic of the Philippines.
to the Republic of the Philippines.
And that I impose this obligation.
And that I impose this obligation
Upon myself voluntarily.
upon myself voluntarily,
Without mental reservation.
without mental reservation
Or purpose of evasion.
or purpose of evasion.
So help me God.
So help me God. Thank you, Pia.
Nandiyan na yung sana.
All right, so again, congratulations to the new Secretary of the Senate, Jose Luis Garcia Montales, only the second to have been both SecGen of the House and the Senate. He will also be serving as the Clerk of Court for the impeachment proceedings. As you mentioned, Stanley, earlier, there were only 23 senators. No surprise, the 24th
Is Senator Ronald Dela Rosa, who is a no-show, of course, during this hearing.
With the reference of business.
Is there any objection? If not, the motion is approved.
So messages from the House of Representatives.
Messages from the House of Representatives. Letter from the House of Representatives transmitting to the Senate 27 copies of Committee Report number 261 on House Resolution number 989 titled Resolution Setting Forth the Articles of Impeachment against Vice President Sara Duterte, together with the annexes thereto, and 27 USB devices containing file copies of the above.
Rules.
Referred to the Committee on Rules.
Letter from the House of Representatives transmitting to the Senate the sealed box containing the documents from the Bureau of Internal Revenue relative to the impeachment proceedings against Vice President Sara Duterte.
Referred to the Committee on Rules.
Letter from the House of Representatives informing the Senate that, in accordance with Section 16, Rule 6 of the Rules of Procedure in the impeachment proceedings of the House of Representatives, 20th Congress, Representatives Luis Ro, Ridon, Gutierrez, Zamora, Defensor, Diokno, De Lima, Bagao, Flores, Suwan, and Chua have been elected as prosecutors in the impeachment trial against Vice President Sara Duterte.
Referred to the Committee on Rules. Acting Majority Leader.
Mr. President.
Yeah.
Mr.
The
President,
Minority Leader is recognized.
I heard, and we saw the notice, the message from the House of Representatives, and you have referred the articles of impeachment to the Committee on Rules. May we know if we have already constituted the Committee on Rules?
The Committee on Rules is in the acting capacity. So in accordance with Section 19, the same members and Senator Villanueva. Actually, for your information, Minority Leader, we were in caucus and wanted to meet also the minority to start reading the committee chairmanships, but we thought it prudent to convene the court first. And then when we remove our, after we convene the court and suspend, we can go back into session to start reading the committees.
So I take it that right now the chairman of the Committee on Rules is in an acting capacity.
Yes, Senator Villanueva.
And the membership at this point would only be the ex-officio members.
And the members before the all positions were declared
holdover
vacant.
From the
Holdover.
previous...
yes. In accordance with Section 19.
Will you refresh me with Section 19, Your Honor, Mr. President? Because...
yes. Yes. And to be fair, Senator Pangilinan has a interpretation question. That's why we referred this to the Committee on Rules.
Okay.
The chairman and the members of the permanent committee shall commence in the exercise of their duties upon election. They shall cease when their successors shall have been elected or designated. So since we have not yet elected or designated their successors, except for the majority leader, our interpretation that it continues. But Senator Pangilinan did bring up the seeming conflict that if it's all seats vacant, then it's vacant.
Precisely.
But then my initial statement was that you harmonize the rules, and if you harmonize it with pragmatically with what's happening, then we should never have a complete vacancy. Having said that, it is with the Committee on Rules, but I don't think Senator Villanueva scheduled it for hearing until we have the permanent members, just to be sure. And we hope to start doing that this afternoon.
We will accept that for now, Mr. President.
Thank you, Minority Leader.
We make a note of the manifestation.
And I will note and recognize not only your observations today, but the observation of Senator Pangilinan. And if we need to clarify later on, it'll be a good opportunity for us to look at the rules, given the 1392 present setup, unless we are overtaken by events. Yes. Okay. Majority Leader?
Correction, Mr. President, 1311.
Yeah. Well, it hasn't been corrected because Senator Subiri and Senator JV said that they are independent, but same with Senator Pia and I, we started out independent, and then Senator Subiri asked us if for the purposes of we can join the majority. So it's their choice if they remain minority or they join the majority, or if you can get 2 more members, then you will be the new majority.
Yes, Mr. President. Mr. President, may I?
Of course. Former Senate President Zubiri.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I would like to be associated with the minority bloc, Mr. President, if I may. Binatigos nga ako nila, sabi nila na ako'y nag-fence sitting at nag-abstain. Nag-abstain lang ako para have a free hand to vote on which issue that I think is important for the Filipino people. But when it comes to the organization, I would like to associate myself with the minority, Mr. President. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Subiri. Yes. So, Senator Ejercito would also like to manifest.
Yes, first of all, Mr. President, I'd like to thank Mr. President for the trust and honor that I was offered to become the majority leader. But as I have mentioned to you personally, that as of this time, I would rather maintain my independence, and with what is happening all over, I think I'll be able to perform my task very well and my pet programs very well as an independent. But again, nonetheless, Mr. President, I would like to thank you for the trust and confidence. Being majority leader is a very, of course, it's one of the most powerful, we would say, position in the Senate. But I guess I have, at this point, I would like to maintain my independence.
Yes. And I also understand. I also recognize that you will say that you will be our number 14, but until the time that we vote, any member, we have to respect their decision and always ascribe good faith. So we will continue to be good friends despite the political divisions or the nomenclature of who is in the majority or the minority. So for the purposes of today to the future, and unless a change is made, will you be an independent or will you be with the minority?
Yes, for now, Mr. President, I'll be with the minority.
Okay.
But again, I would like to thank you for that and for the respect. And we will all still be friends, no matter what. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you, Senator Ejercito. So the Secretariat has that noted, and we can now compute the membership at a 13-11 proportion, so that we do not, we're not accused of any delay. Acting Majority Leader, what's your pleasure about the articles of impeachment?
Yes, Mr. President, just to put on record, as Senator JV made mention, his statement is for the purposes of proportional representation in the membership of committees. Also, Mr. President, Senator Lacson asked this representation to put also on record the membership of the Senate Committee on Rules or ex officio members would have to be the new ex officio members. So just to put that on record, Mr. President.
That's a correct observation from Senator Lacson.
Thank you. Mr. President, with the permission of the body, the articles of impeachment have been referred to the Committee on Rules. May I respectfully move to refer the articles of impeachment to the impeachment court. I so move, Mr. President.
Is there any objection? There's no objection. It is so referred.
Mr. President, may I move that we suspend the session to convene the impeachment court. So move, Mr. President.
If there's no objection, we will suspend and convene the impeachment court.
Very interesting changes.
Events there, actually, because we were witnessing two senators who earlier abstained during last week's coup.
But now clarifying
their positions, which are, of course,
to join the minority. So essentially, it's 13-11.
11. Okay.
Who are the 13? The 13 in the majority bloc would be Senate President Alan Peter Cayetano, his sister Pia Cayetano, Senators Bongo, Robin Padilla, Loren Legarda, Amy Marcos, the Villar siblings, Camille and Mark, Ronald Bato Dela Rosa, who is a no-show again. So we're not sure if he's going to be participating in the impeachment, but they say even if he is not part or is suspended from the impeachment proceedings, the 16 votes, the 2/3 votes will still be necessary to convict the Vice President. There's Joel Villanueva, Jingoy Estrada, Senators Chis Escudero, and Rodante Marcoleta. In the minority bloc now, we have 11 names. Tito Soto.
Nick Subiri, and of course, assuming that JV Ejercito is still taking that minority position, we have the Tulfo brothers, Erwin and Rafi Tulfo, Senator Risa Ontiveros, Senator
Gatchalian, Lito Lapid, Kiko Pangilinan,
and Senator Panfilo Lacson.
All right. As the Senate moves closer to Vice President Sara Duterte's impeachment trial, questions are intensifying over whether lawmakers have a constitutional duty to proceed or if politics could override the process. Joining us today is the Dean of the San Beda University School of Law, Father Emilio Aquino. Dean, thank you so much for joining us. Hi, sir.
Good afternoon.
Okay, Father,
good afternoon.
I'm sure you've been monitoring the developments at the upper chamber. The Senate has referred the articles of impeachment to the Committee on Rules. Do you feel that the impeachment complaint is progressing?
Well, at least it appears that they are in earnest about convening as an impeachment court. I see them robing now, so probably they are in earnest about this. I think it's part of their procedure to refer it to the Committee on Rules because this is the committee that takes part of processes and proceedings before the Senate.
All right. The thing is, you need 16 votes for that one. And, well, today we have witnessed Senator Zubiri and JV Hercito joining the minority.
Which makes for 11. 5 votes short. Still.
Okay. So what do you make of the positions there?
The court, the Senate has no choice. It really has to convene as a court of impeachment and conduct the trial. And we will hope that our statesmen, our senators, will act as statesmen and decide according to the law and according to evidence. So it's very important that the whole nation pays attention so that the whole nation is witness to what happens. After all, the greatest safeguard of the integrity of proceedings is a vigilant nation.
Father, just very curious, because it all boils down to what they're calling the quantum of evidence. At least we don't have to argue about what forthwith means, because they convened immediately. But when you look at the quantum of evidence, it has to be substantial. I guess the basic question is that they will all have to ask themselves is this person impeached, in this case, the Vice President Sara Duterte, still fit to remain in office or should be allowed and perpetually banned to hold office? So, Father, this all boils down to conscience?
Well, yes, it boils down to conscience. Ultimately, voting according to what one believes is the right vote. But it also depends a lot on the evidence that is presented by both parties, which is why the Senate must earnestly pay attention to the presentation of evidence, and it will be very crucial to watch how the President of the Senate rules on issues such as admissibility of evidence, what evidence to allow, what evidence to exclude. For example, the opening of the sealed box will be very crucial.
From the VAR.
You will remember that in the trial of Erap Estrada, former President Erap Estrada, it was the opening
of the envelope.
Issue of the opening of the envelope that triggered EDSA DOS, no? So they have to be very careful about ruling on that. And that affair, the Estrada affair, just shows the power of vigilant citizenry, which is why I call upon all fellow Filipinos to be watchful, to be to scrutinize the actions of the senators, and of course to pray that they listen to their consciences and they do what is right. Your question on the quantum of evidence is very interesting because questions have been asked. Do they go by substantial evidence, which is the evidence that you use in administrative cases? Do you go by preponderance of evidence, which is the kind of evidence you need in civil cases? Or do you go by proof beyond reasonable doubt, which is the quantum of proof you need in criminal cases? Well, the Senate still has to agree on that, and I wish that they would make known to the public the standard that they choose.
All right, Father Ranil, you've seen the composition now of the minority and the majority. Who do you feel would champion, the impeachment case?
Well,
or at least who are you expecting to champion?
I certainly think that those in the minority now will want to see the proceedings proceed as they should proceed. But I'd like to believe that all the members of the Senate want it to proceed as it should proceed. Now, how many will vote for conviction and how many will vote for acquittal? We cannot say that now because it also all depends on the way the prosecutors do their job and on the way the defense handles the defense. So that a lot depends actually on the processes that follow. But as I mentioned, it is important that all pay attention to the way the proceedings are presided over by the Senate President.
Father, do you think it was a wise move for the camp of Vice President Sara Duterte to snub and skip all of the House inquiries?
Yes, it was very unwise. It was very unwise because already on that level, they would have had a chance to refute the evidence that is now going to be used against her in the impeachment. But, you know, it is a common gambit for defense lawyers not to bear their evidence very soon. So it is possible that they have been holding back whatever evidence they have in favor of the Vice President and then to bear that at the Senate trial. But I still think it was unwise of them not to participate in the proceedings on the Committee of Justice because that would have been a chance for them to refute the evidence and to rebut the evidence that was being presented.
Okay, let's try to look at the prosecution now. You have a formidable lineup representing the House of Representatives in this case. What can you say about the competence and maybe the preparedness of these personalities to prosecute?
They're very competent, no? If you take a person, for example, like Chel Jokno was Dean of the Tanyada Jokno Law School of De La Salle University. Senator De Lima has plenty of trial practice. Senator Luistro, Congressman Luistro, they're all very competent. And let's not forget, no, aside from them, there is a whole group of private lawyers who have volunteered their services as private prosecutors. So I think the prosecution is in good hands.
But I guess, Father Stan, it's not just all how well these arguments are made. We have to consider two things while we watch these impeachment proceedings. One would be public opinion, and the surveys would show us that Vice President Sara Duterte still enjoys strong support. In fact, she's leading in presidential surveys. So how do you think that will affect the way the senator judges will vote? And secondly, sir, one thing that we didn't have during the Corona impeachment or the Estrada impeachment was social media.
Yeah, well, you know, first of all, the impeachment trial is two things at once. In a sense, it is quasi-judicial. It participates of the nature of judicial proceedings. On the other hand, it is a proceeding over which politicians preside, which is why Father Bernas, in his treatise on constitutional law, very aptly calls impeachment trials an exercise in political justice, because politicians determine the fitness of a politician, in this case, the Vice President of the Philippines, to continue in public office and her fitness for occupying public office again in the future. Now, while public opinion may at the present time seem to be in favor of the Vice President, well, a fundamental tenet of justice is to judge according to evidence and to law and not according to popularity. However, considering that politicians are judges, the pulse of public opinion will certainly get into their calculations of how they should vote or in whose favor they should incline. But let's not forget too that public opinion may shift according to what the trial shows. If it is very evident that the Vice President should be convicted or that she should be acquitted, public opinion will, I believe, also shift, especially considering that a very good number of the population now is composed of university and college students.
Okay, Father Ranillo, still on the subject, of course, of public opinion, there were events last week that may be considered pivotal in terms of how the impeachment is going to pan out. Of course, that's the Senate leadership change and the events, the escape of Senator Ronald Dela Rosa and the events that preceded that. I don't know how much that has influenced, in fact, the impeachment case for the better, for worse.
It's very important to read the statement of the Catholic Bishops' Conference of the Philippines, no? And of course, the statement made by the law deans. They were disturbed, we were disturbed by the proceedings of the last week, the events of the last week, and that shootout in the Senate, which many are convinced was scripted or pre-planned, certainly cast a pall of doubt over the sincerity of some of the members of the Senate. But I hope that we can all put that behind us as we start the impeachment trial. But it is really my earnest wish that the senators do as their oaths demand that they do.
Just a few legal questions, Father. Number one, do you think that the Senate, as an impeachment court, will need to conduct a pre-trial, which they also did during the Corona impeachment? The pre-trial is supposed to, a pre-trial happening before the trial proper. It will have the stipulation, so they can present all the evidence all together. Do you think, are you expecting a pre-trial to happen? Should it happen before the trial proper?
Article 11 of the Constitution allows both the lower house and the Senate to formulate their rules in impeachment trials. And it will all depend on the rules that have been formulated, if they've already formulated the rules. I would think that an impeachment trial would be very helpful because it's or a pre-trial, because it's at the pre-trial that you list all the witnesses you want to present. You ask the documents to be marked, because marking of documents can be problematic and can take a lot of time. That stipulations are made, if any stipulations are to be made, and all such preliminary matters that would go a long way towards abbreviating the proceedings. So it would be to the benefit of the trial if a pre-trial were held, but it really all depends on the rules formulated by the Senate.
Because we remember during the Corona impeachment trial, they did have a pre-trial but decided on it in the middle of the trial proper. It was almost a month of a pre-trial, then 44 days of trial proper, but with breaks in between. Another question, sir. Do you think, legally speaking, based on the rules, Father, once the Vice President is convicted, for example, the perpetual disqualification from holding any more public office, is that automatic or is that a separate vote?
No, it comes together with conviction. In other words, when either the President or the Vice President is convicted, in fact, an impeachable officer, when any impeachable officer is convicted as a result of trial, the impeachment trial, the disqualification, perpetual disqualification from public office is an auxiliary penalty. It comes with the penalty of dismissal from office.
All right.
Okay, Father Ranillo, I don't know if you're getting a sense of deja vu here. 2000 and 2026, of course, 2000, I'm talking about the impeachment case of former President Joseph Estrada, where there was also a Senate leadership change before. They replaced Senator Drilon as House Speaker before the hearings began, and that has somehow influenced the outcome of the impeachment case. Do you feel that it can happen again this time?
The big difference is that in the case of former President Joseph Estrada, the presiding officer was the Chief Justice, because the Constitution provides that when the President is on trial, the Chief Justice presides. In this case, it is the Senate President, apparently, who is minded to preside. In fact, I have just posted a post on Facebook, and I have ventured the opinion. I'm not advancing it as a doctrine. I have ventured the opinion that there is nothing to prevent the Senate in passing a resolution requesting the Chief Justice to preside as a non-voting presiding officer over the trial of the Vice President in order to dispel any doubts as to the impartiality of the presiding officer. But that is a private opinion on my part, and I leave that to the discernment of the Senate.
All right. What about the Senate just going through the motions of hearing this case?
I didn't get your question, please.
Yes. What about the possibility that the Senate can just go through the motions of hearing the case without, that conviction?
All persons are commanded to keep silent under pain of penalty while the Senate is sitting in trial on the articles of impeachment against Vice President Sara Duterte.
The Clerk of Court will please call the roll.
Roll call of members. The Honorable Senator Judges Aquino, Cayetano Pia, Dela Rosa, Ejercito, Escudero, Estrada, Gatchalian, Go, Ontiveros, Lacson, Lapid, Legarda, Marcoleta, Marcos, Padilla, Pangilinan, Soto III, Tulfo Erwin, Tulfo Rafi, Villanueva, Villar Camille, Villar Mark, Zubiri, the Senate President.
With 23 senator judges present, the chair declares the presence of a quorum. Senator Judge Villanueva.
Yes, Mr. President, Sir Presiding Officer, may we request Senator Judge Camille Villar to ascend the rostrum to administer the oath of the Senate President.
Between the
Anytime.
Please raise your right hand. Impeachment trial of Vice President Sara Duterte. I state your name.
I, Alan Peter Cayetano,
Solemnly swear
that
in all things appertaining to the trial of the impeachment of Vice President Sara Duterte,
that in all things appertaining to the trial of the impeachment of Vice President Sara Duterte,
now pending, I will do impartial justice according to the Constitution.
I will do impartial justice according to the Constitution
and laws of the Philippines.
and the laws of the Philippines.
So help me God.
So help me God. At this time, I will administer the oath of each of the senator judges in the chamber in conformity with Article 11, Section 3, Paragraph 6 of the Philippine Constitution and Rule 3 of the Senate Rules of Procedure on Impeachment Trials. May we request everyone to rise. Same oath, no? Same oath. So, same. I state your name. Solemnly swear that in all things appertaining to the trial of the impeachment of Vice President Sara Duterte, now pending, I will do impartial justice according to the Constitution and the laws of the Philippines.
according to the Constitution and the laws of the Philippines.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Senator Judge Villanueva.
Thank you, Mr. President. Last Thursday, May 14, 2026, the House of Representatives, through Secretary-General Cheloy Garafil, personally delivered to the Senate the articles of impeachment against Vice President Sara Zimmerman Duterte, pursuant to Article 11, Section 3, Paragraph 3 of the Constitution, and Rule 4, Section 11 of the Rules of Procedure in the impeachment proceedings of the House of Representatives. Earlier today, the articles of impeachment were referred to the Committee on Rules and consequently to the Senate sitting as an impeachment court. Mr. President, the articles of impeachment against Vice President Sara Zimmerman Duterte with its annexes are now presented to the court for proper disposition and action.
The same is duly noted and made of record. For the record, Resolution Number 39 or the Rules of Procedure on Impeachment Trial shall continue to apply. We further note that Rule 6 thereof, which provide that the provisions of the rules of the Senate and the revised rules of court shall apply suppletorily whenever applicable. The court having been organized, and the articles of impeachment having been presented, let a writ of summons be issued to the Vice President Sara Zimmerman Duterte, who is directed to file her answer within a non-extendable period of 10 days from receipt. Pursuant to Article 7 of the Rules of Procedure of Impeachment Trial, she is directed to appear before the Session Hall of the Senate of the Philippines upon notice. The Sergeant at Arms is directed to serve the written summons on Vice President Sara Duterte along with a copy of the articles of impeachment. The prosecution may file a reply within a non-extendable period of 5 days from receipt of the answer. The parties may file their pleadings and annexes in person or through electronic mail. All other pleadings, motions, similar papers intended for the consideration of this court may be filed electronically. We will circulate the specific instructions on the format for the pleadings and manner of electronic filing for the guidance of all parties.
Mr. President.
Senator Judge.
Thank you.
Soto.
Thank you.
Yes.
Mr. President, may we be clarified when you say 10 days, is that working days or calendar days?
Calendar days.
Calendar days, and including the 5 days for the prosecution to respond?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Okay. The Clerk of Court is hereby authorized to calendar the case for pre-trial and issue the corresponding notices to the parties after the last pleading is filed. Upon conclusion of the pre-trial, the trial proper shall commence on a date and time fixed by the court, of which the parties shall be duly notified. I approached members of the minority of the Senate, and later on I will approach the senator judges that we will fix the calendar together, and in pursuit of impartial justice, we will come up with a impeachment calendar that is fair to the prosecution and to the defense, and will allow us to continue to function in the legislative side of our work. Any other matter? If there no other matter, the session is suspended.
All right. Suspension is the session is suspended as of the moment, following several developments there, as the Senate convened as an impeachment court, wearing the robes officially, with 23 members present. So a quorum has been declared. President Alan Peter Cayetano and Senator judges took oath as well to do impartial justice or serve impartial justice according to Philippine laws and the Constitution.
And the writ of summons is going to be issued to the Vice President, who is directed to file her answer within 10 working days from receipt. She will be directed to appear before the Senate Hall upon notice. The Sergeant-at-Arms is directed to serve the written summons along with a copy of the articles of impeachment. The prosecution may file the reply within a non-extendable period of 5 days, 5 working days from receipt. Parties may file their pleadings and annexes in person or through electronic mail. So all of the days here referred to would be calendar days, not working days.
Senator Tito Soto is clarifying that one. Of course, parties will be duly notified of these dates, called the impeachment calendar, which
they will be fixing together.
And House Speaker, Senate President Alan Peter Cayetano was saying would be fair for both defense and the prosecution.
So Stanley, I think Father Emilio Aquino is still with us over Zoom. Hi, Father.
Hi.
All right. So far, your impression of the official convening of the Senate as an impeachment court?
Well, these were the preliminaries. The order was given by the Senate President to the Sergeant-at-Arms to serve the writ of summons upon the Vice President. That is procedural. That is a requirement of due process. And a period was given to the prosecution to respond. I do not know what they are supposed to respond to, because the writ of summons is nothing but a command to the Vice President as respondent to attend the proceedings. So I'm not really too sure about what the Senate expects the prosecution to respond to.
But as of procedure, is that proper that the prosecution would respond at least after the defense has presented the evidence and all material documents required of them?
You know, most of the time, after the defense presents its evidence, there is a period given for rebuttal, for rebuttal evidence. And that is really procedural. But to require the prosecution to respond this early, that's exactly what I'm not too sure about. What do they want the prosecution to respond to? Because all that has been done is the issuance of the writ of summons and then the decision to set up a calendar date, establish a calendar date, hearing dates that will be acceptable to both the Senate and the prosecutors.
I think, Father Stan, this whole impeachment trial will all be in the run-up to the 2028 presidential elections. And I wonder, is there a possible scenario, Father, where the impeached official decides to just resign, so the trial does not push through, and she will not be barred or disqualified from holding office?
Of course, that's always possible. But there are two things to consider there. The Senate may nevertheless decide to continue with impeachment to determine whether or not she should be disqualified from public office, or if she resigns and ceases to be Vice President, there is nothing to stop concerned citizens and concerned civic groups from filing charges with the Office of the Ombudsman that may still result in her disqualification.
So just to clarify, Father, even if the impeached official decides to resign, the impeachment trial can still push through?
Because there's still the matter of determining whether she should be perpetually disqualified from public office or not. Of course, many maintain the school of thought that since she is no longer Vice President, she's no longer subject to impeachment. But applying the analogous rule in administrative cases, the resignation or retirement of an official does not necessarily absolve him or her from administrative liability, because whatever fines may be imposed and whatever disqualifications may be imposed will still be determined. But I think the safer thing to say is if she resigns, then the Senate will end its proceedings. but that does not necessarily get her off the hook, because I am sure that there are many who will use the evidence so far gathered by the Committee on Justice of the lower house to file an administrative case and of course criminal cases also with the Office of the Ombudsman.
All right. So
Stan, Father, if I can just share, we have this from our reporter. In the Senate, our correspondent Victoria Tulad saying that Senator Robin Padilla, as we all know, is present in today's session, but he refuses to confirm if he left the Senate with Senator Ronald Dela Rosa last May 14. He tells reporters to wait for the investigation. Padilla is confident Dela Rosa will not leave the country because he loves the Philippines.
Okay. So what do you make of that, Father?
Well, if he loves the Philippines, let him show how sincere that love is by abiding by the rule of law and submitting to lawful legal processes. You know, this is something that many observers don't pick up. They always make this argument that an ICC warrant has no validity in this country. Aside from being mistaken, in fact, what they are asking for, that there be an intervention of a local court, has already taken place. As soon as the ICC warrant was unsealed and the NBI attempted to serve it on Bato, he ran to the Supreme Court and he filed successive urgent manifestations praying for a TRO, raising us an argument against the TRO, the issue of the supposed illegality of the ICC warrant. Now, it's very telling that the Supreme Court did not grant the TRO, which is a way of saying that the Supreme Court did not recognize a right that was in imminent danger of being transgressed. And so, if they claim, well, no, it has to pass by a Philippine court, he has had the recourse to the Philippine court that they are asking for.
Okay, Father Ranillo, you know, you have senators with pending cases. A lot of these cases might see some resolution anytime soon, and that might affect the numbers that will vote on the impeachment case of the Vice President. What are your thoughts on these possibilities?
Well, I think that so as not to impede the impeachment trial, the resolution of the cases can wait till the end of the impeachment trial. Another scenario, of course, is that even if they are under detention or even if they are in some way impeded from actually being in the session hall, they can still cast their votes.
Okay, so that's final because that was one of the proposals of the Senate.
Because you know, the Constitution requires 2/3 of the membership of the Senate.
Okay, and that member need not be physically present in the session hall to do that?
Yes, voting, one can transmit his vote to the Senate President.
But won't that compromise the quality of whatever vote they actually make?
That's correct.
That some of them carry.
That's correct, which is why I believe that in the interest of the regularity of the proceedings and so as not to impede the impeachment proceedings, whatever resolution may be forthcoming in regard to the cases that they are now facing will wait disposition of the impeachment case.
All right. So looking forward, Father, what do you think are the key things that the Filipino people should be on the lookout for when the trial proper begins?
Yeah, thank you for asking that question, and this is my opportunity to urge our people to watch the proceedings, to observe the conduct of the senators who sit as judges, and to pay attention to the evidence that is presented both by the prosecution and by the defense. You know, in any controversy like this, emotions run high, but we cannot have a country that is run by emotions. That is why we abide by the rule of law. And I have always insisted that the surest guarantee of a fair trial is the vigilance of the nation. And if our senators know that they will answer to the people, that they are to be accountable to the people, then I'm sure that they will be on their best behavior during the trial. And I pray to God that they vote as the law and the evidence and their consciences dictate.
All right, on that note, Father Ranillo Aquino, San Beda University School of Law head, thank you so much for joining us, for sharing with us.
Thank you too for having me with me this afternoon, and best of luck to all of you.
All right. Father Ranillo Aquino there, I like the way he put it, that vigilance is the only way for the Filipino people to really make their senators work.
Mm-hmm. We get the politics we deserve.
All right.
We have to take care of it by being vigilant. All right, so are we still showing? Yes, this is still live footage from the Senate. So they have taken off their robes. They've suspended the session. I think within the day, according to Senate President Alan Peter Cayetano, they're going to be discussing, they're going to be fixing the calendar together of the impeachment trial. Of course, they did say they will have a pre-trial. A pre-trial and then the proper trial. Now remember, during the time of Corona, CJ Corona, he had 44 days of trial proper, but with the breaks in between it, and it lasted almost 5 months.
Okay, that was a long process. Really, we have no idea how much time this impeachment trial of the Vice President will take, but we are for sure anticipating that it will begin on May 28th, if I'm not mistaken. That's a 10 calendar days, as Senator Tito Soto put it. It should begin after 10 calendar days from today.
But you can count on ANC to give you the front row seats to this very critical moment in history. In the meantime, that is ANC special coverage on the Senate convening as an impeachment court for the trial of Vice President Sara Duterte.
More news comes your way in the next couple of newscasts here on ANC.
For 3 decades, ANC has been a witness to the country's historical moments, maintaining the highest standards of Philippine broadcast journalism. Home to the country's most seasoned news veterans, ANC remains at the forefront of the truth. Now, our reach grows even wider. Starting today, ANC officially airs on Signal, Channel 27, bringing all your favorite news programs to a broader audience. More choices, more perspectives, and the same responsible journalism you've trusted for a generation. ABS-CBN News Channel, now on Signal.
From the stories altering the affairs of the state to events rocking the globe, we bring you the headlines as they unfold, the voices that count.
What we have now is just another slippery slope that, if not taken care of, could, branch out to a bigger operation.
That would be counterintuitive to what the president wanted at the beginning of his term.
If the other side is pushing you, you have to have a breaking point wherein you say, okay, you pushed me this far, I'm going to push you back now.
We go beyond biases.
The Impact Challenge is proudly presented by the Rotary Club of San Juan Supreme, co-presented by Peng Mongo, and made possible by Creative Impact Incorporated, Card MRI, COL Financial, Domo Domo, SM Investments Corporation, Union Digital Bank, Astoria Hotels and Resorts, Executive Genesis, and 7 a.m. Productions. In the Philippines, 99.6% of all businesses are micro, small, and medium enterprises. They employ more than half the country's workforce and account for nearly 40% of GDP. But behind these numbers are hard truths. Most of these entrepreneurs have no safety nets, no access to affordable credit, and when a crisis hits, the business folds and there's no coming back. But some young Filipinos believe that economic development doesn't start with billion-peso infrastructure. It starts with a livelihood, a microloan, a skill, a community that believes in itself. Hustle with heart. That's where real, sustainable community and national economic progress begins.
Welcome to the Impact Challenge, where Filipino youth don't just dream about change, they build it with their own hands. I'm your host, Cara Eriguel Rabat. Here's how it works. Every week, we take on one of Rotary International's 7 areas of focus. 3 youth organizations pitch their community projects to our panel of judges, and the group with the most compelling actionable idea wins 100,000 pesos to make it happen in just 70 days.